Live from Fort Defiance on Capitol Hill, a rainy, overcast, gloomy Easter Monday, the 13th of April, the year of our Lord 2020. This is War Room Pandemic on the John Fredericks Radio Network, America's Voice.news. And Jack Maxey's in the war room. We know this because his computer's going off. You got to know Jack's around. Newsmax TV. In 70 million homes. And by the way, Dish Channel 219 is America's Voice.news. FM 99.1 and 103.9 in Chicago. Hope everyone out there is listening. Throughout the world on Nexus, IRRS, and on G News and GTV in Mandarin. And now they're almost doing a simultaneous typing up so you can see the show. And they later in the day, they get the subtitles all correct and they blow it through the firewall that separates the Chinese people from the free world. And they are held captive by a totalitarian dictatorship. Breaking news: our Twitter account, the Twitter account for was it at War Room Pandemic, has been taken down by Twitter because of our anti-CCP, I guess, evidence, information, rants. Okay, Jack Dorsey, we understand, Jack. You got to report to your paymasters in Beijing. But here's the bottom line. We're not going to stop. I don't care if you pull us all down on Twitter, all the social media. We're going to be relentless. The Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, not the Chinese people. These are the people that enslaved the Chinese people. Okay. Suppress the information about human-to-human transmission for over a month, maybe 2 months. And the whole reason that Wuhan was destroyed, Hubei province, and the rest of the world, where we have, almost 2 million people that have it today, 500,000 in the United States. Well, we have over 22,000 dead American citizens. And I think we're at a rate almost at 2,000 a day. We're almost doing an Antietam or a Pearl Harbor or a 9/11 virtually every day right now. In that clip, right? Just about. That's what we're doing, folks. And that's courtesy of the Chinese Communist Party. So Jack Dorsey and the people at Twitter, we don't care. We're not going to stop. Okay, we're going to continue to put out the truth about the Chinese Communist Party. Now, we're going to start today. We're going to get back to the CCP later. We got a packed show. Jason Miller's here, Raheem Kassam, and obviously at least Jack Maxey's computer's here, right? So it checks in, gave us a cheery aye. We're going to go through, and this is what, the New York Times article by, I think there were 20, it was the entire newsroom was on that story. There were 20 people, 25 people, 30 people?
Something, six.
Okay, six. It just felt like 30.
That is the entire newsroom now.
Whoa, the failing New York Times. They got a bigger newsroom than that. It was I guess you say when you have that many, it's well-sourced?
You could probably say that.
Well-sourced? Okay. It's also got some big problems with it, right, as we're going to get into. And it's about Dr. Fauci. And we disagree with our brethren on the right that attack Dr. Fauci. He gave money to Hillary Clinton. He's George Soros. He's Bill Gates' partner. They're trying to do vaccines. Hey, that's too complicated for me. That's a topic for a different day, right? What we are on Dr. Fauci about, if you're going to be the end all and be all, if you're going to be the oracle of this, if you're going to be the scientist, as CNN and MSNBC say, evidence-based, data-based. We want evidence and we want data, and we need veracity, and we need somebody that is trustworthy and that we feel understands this. So we're going to go back through because we think Dr. Fauci has a big problem. Remember, we understand what the game is. There's a full beatdown on Trump and the Trump administration on the pages of Drudge and Daily Mail and the mainstream media. I mean, it's savage, right? This is like medieval. They've gone full medieval. And today, Morning Joe gets up, and Mika, in her trembling voice, she just reads the New York Times story. We're at least, hey, Mika, here's what we're going to do. We're going to deconstruct it, okay? You guys you read it, and you're crying and sniveling, and Joe's sitting there grunting and groaning, and Caddy from BBC chips in with her crisp British accent. So awfully, it's so awful, right? And they got, who's the guy that's bidding for Willie Geiss's, the guy from AP?
Well, he's not bidding. Jonathan Lemire, he's a good reporter.
He's a great reporter, but he's definitely
going to take Willie's seat.
He's elbowing Willie out of the way because he's pure hate now, right? He's just pure hate.
Yeah, Willie's he's as dumb as a box
Well,
of rocks.
you had the AP story, you had the Washington Post story, you had the New York Times story, all three of them about the same thing. What did you know and when did you know it? So we're going to talk about who knew what when, right? And we're going to start with the Yoda. We're going to start with Yoda. That'd be Dr. Fauci, right? Dr. Fauci. He's evidence-based. He's science-based. Our problem with Fauci, he's always wrong, and he's always moving the goalpost, right? You can't pin him down because he's moving the goalpost all the time. But let's go back. Let's go in the Wayback Machine and go all the way back to January of, certain things were missing in the New York Times article. They're missing on CNN all the time. They're missing on MSNBC. How could these be missing? These are major. If you're going to report this, you've got to report it as it is. Let's go through Dr. Fauci and his record.
Yep, here's Dr. Fauci from January 21st with Greg Kelly on Newsmax TV.
So manageable numbers. Bottom line, we don't have to worry about this one, right?
Well, obviously you need to take it seriously and do the kinds of things that the CDC and the Department of Homeland Security are doing. But this is not a major threat for the people in the United States, and this is not something that the citizens of the United States right now should be worried about.
That was the 21st of January.
That was 21st.
And the question we have there that we need answers for, what were CDC and Homeland Security, what were they recommending? We'd like to know. I'd like to know what they were recommending, because as this plays out, it doesn't seem like much, right?
And the other thing was, we're going to come back to also from Dr. Fauci's interview with Al Sharpton yesterday. He said that somewhere in mid to late January, they knew this was a serious.
Well, I tell you what, let's play the cats, and then we're going to come back and play yesterday's play thing, and that'll tie it up nicely.
So this is Dr. Fauci with John Katsimatidis on WABC Radio on January 26th.
Very well, John. Good to be with you.
What can you tell the American people about what's going on? Should they be scared?
I don't think so. The American people should not be worried or frightened by this. It's a very, very low risk to the United States, but it's something that we as public health officials need to take very seriously. This is
okay. Now that was recorded on the 25th, because I recommended, we had already started, we had bifurcated the show impeachment, and we're actually doing an hour on, or bringing up stuff on the pandemic before we actually went to the 1 hour. I think on the 23rd or 24th, we went to the 1 hour, somewhere around, we went to the 1 hour impeachment, the 1 hour war room pandemic show, right? We bifurcated the war room into 2020 into the pandemic. And I talked to Katsimatidis, right? And he's saying, hey, why is your hair on fire in this thing? I said, well, it's the biggest thing in human history, but besides that. So he knew from his time, because he was a supporter, he's a big supporter of Trump, he's a big supporter of President Clinton, Bill Clinton. He knew Fauci from the old days, because Fauci was a big name back then. So he reached out and found his show, WABC, is the biggest Sunday radio show out there. And not just that, this thing's recorded on the 25th. When it played on the 26th, I get up in the morning, in the Hill newspaper, the lead story, I realize I'm going to have a bad day. It's got Fauci saying this is no big deal. And Katsimatidis is saying, hey, he's the top guy in the country. He said, number one, this is not a pandemic, okay? We have nothing to worry about. We ought to monitor it, and they're monitoring, but that's it. Okay, so this is on the 21st and the 26th, that entire week, right, leading up to the 28th meeting in the national security space down at the White House with Navarro and Fauci and all those guys. But that's the days before, and he's out there not just telling people this on publicly and being quoted and on radio and TV. When he's off air, he's telling them the pandemic.
And then just a couple days later, that's when President Trump shut the travel down with China.
But let's go to Fauci's. This is about veracity. This is about moving the goalpost. Okay, and this is about the mainstream media. If a Trump official, or if Donald Trump was doing this, they'd have the nail guns out all the time, right? This is Fauci. Yoda is. Let's play what he said with Al Sharpton yesterday.
Sharpton, just one moment.
We're gonna get Raheem in here to and let's go to the Al Sharpton tape.
We had all kind of reports about when Washington was notified, the Congress, the White House. When did it occur to you that we were in real danger here?
It occurred, well, there was always this thought that there was some danger. But when we got to the point where it was clear that some of the misinformation that we initially got from China, because remember, their first cases were reported at the very end of December 31st. They said there was something like 24 cases in this wet market where these exotic animals are sold, and there's a human-animal interface. And the proposal that was made by the authorities in China was this was just jumping from an animal to a human, and it wasn't spread from human to human. Then it became clear when you look back, that it was likely in China that there was human-to-human spread. By the time we got that information and we started getting cases here, it was, well, it's not efficiently spread from human to human. But as soon as it became clear that there was community spread, which means that it isn't just a travel-related case, that there are cases that are in the community under the radar screen, then it became clear that we were in real trouble.
And he continues on there saying that that was in mid to late January.
I don't care how much longer we got to go on that. I want to get his voice on there saying mid to late January, because this is just a more false spin from Fauci. First off, let's make sure we'll put the timeline up, okay? We'll get the timeline up. But the Free Republic of China's, the Free Republic of China, who's done the best job here, the folks in Taiwan, notified the World Health Organization on the 31st of December 2019 that they had incontrovertible proof that there was human-to-human transmission in mainland China, in central China on the 31st. And they will tell you, and Dr. Fauci, I know you're in the loop on this stuff, they will tell you that they got that out to, before they told the World Health Organization, they told their big brother, and that big brother would be the United States of America, okay? That people were in the loop. Dr. Fauci, your job as the head of NIH is I can't wait till Clyburn pulls all the email chains, all the intelligence chains, all the information chains of Dr. Fauci, because Dr. Fauci, I don't want to be so brutal, but I think you just lied here again. But this is more spin, more obfuscation, and just more bad information.
But there are a couple other things, Steve, when we went back, and let's talk about the beginning of February.
Do we have his voice on here with sharpness? How long does it go for before he finally says?
We'll have that in just a moment.
Okay,
but
fine.
As we're getting that, I want to read a couple other Fauci quotes that were print quotes from February. So on February 3rd, Dr. Fauci told CNBC that and this is a quote, as the entry into the United States of potentially infected people is diminished because of the travel restrictions on both sides, I think you're going to see a dampening down of U.S. cases. So that's on the 3rd. He told on February 10th, he gave a lengthy interview to the Washington Post where he said there's very little transmission from person to person.
He just said right there they knew about it. They knew about the community spread already.
Right. But on February 10th, he told the Washington Post again, quote, there's very little but some transmission from person to person. In that same interview, Dr. Fauci also told the Washington Post, should we do anything different from what we're already doing? No. Should we all be wearing a mask? Absolutely not. That's February 10. Let's go on to let's go on to this clip from.
Oh, hang on for a second. I want to give my brother over CNN. K-File. Is the K-File on this? I tell you what, hey, Greg, in the War Room, can we bundle this up nicely and send it over to Jake and to send it over to Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Gupta? I love Gupta. He does a good job. Anderson. But let's get it to the K-File. Is the K-File doing an investigation? Why is he up as the Oracle and Yoda? We have one of the most important decisions in American history coming upon us. And Dr. Fauci is Yoda. He's supposed to be, we're going to get into all those things about the analytics and the moving goalpost on all the numbers and what the recommendations were. It's a morass. We're the ones from day one that said, hey, this has to be laid out. This has to be a close run thing. If you want to open up the country, it has to be a close run thing. Just like we said, and even shutting it down, it should be a close run thing. Okay, we're going to take a break. You can't go to at War Room Pandemic because it's on temporarily in the memory hole. We're going to be back in a moment. War Room Pandemic. Hashtag War Room Pandemic.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to the Twitterless War Room. We don't have War Room at War Room Pandemic anymore. You know why? Because the gutless pencil neck Jack Dorsey, right, in the crew at Twitter, took us down because of our anti-CCP. It happened, you notice it happened right after Descent into Hell. life of the Chinese people under the Chinese Communist Party. And what we had freedom fighters. We had the Underground House Christians, the Underground Catholic Church, people talking about the LGBT community, representatives of the East Turkestan, the Uyghurs, representatives of the Dalai Lama in the Tibetan Buddhist, of the representatives from the Tiananmen Square freedom fighters, people talk about organ harvesting, okay, about life in the hell that China is under the Chinese Communist Party. And Jack Dorsey, we're not going to change, okay? But I tell you what, we're going to work. You should be suspended from what you're trading as a stock. You're a disgrace. Your company's a disgrace, right? You're an absolute disgrace. To take that down shows you don't care. This is the problem we've got in this country. The problem we got in this country is the elites not just sold out the American people, they sold out the Chinese people. Jack Dorsey and all these guys, they don't mind making the guys in Silicon Valley, guys on Wall Street, the guys that have built the firewall to suppress and cage in the Chinese people. As long as they're making money, they don't care, okay? If you're at home, remember, for the first time in 2,000 years, we had an Easter celebration where we didn't celebrate Easter. We're house Christians. You're house Christians in your house, the United States of America, courtesy of the Chinese Communist Party. You need to embrace that. You need to embrace and think deep who you are, what you stand for. You don't have a job. You don't have any money. You're waiting for a handout for the government. You're waiting for your $1,200. You're waiting for your PPP to make your payroll, right? We're fusing $6 trillion in here to keep this thing going. We've got 22,000 dead American citizens. We got 500,000 people infected with this. We're spending trillions of dollars. All of this is courtesy of the Chinese Communist Party, and we're not going to back off. They're at war with us. I've said this for years, information economic war. And I'm not even going to the place of whether they inadvertently, because of their incompetence, allowed a virus to leak out from one of the places they're studying for the vaccines, or whether this is part of their biological weapons plan. I'm not even going there. That's for other people to adjudicate. But what we know, and we just get from the incompetent Yoda who's dancing around, changing a story every day, the K-File, why didn't the K-File go through all these interviews that somebody had Liz Smith. Liz Smith had this, she was the communications director for Buttigieg. And her theory is go everywhere and go often. Don't wait for the Sunday shows, and that's the old way to think about it. The Sunday shows and go on CNN and Fox and everything like that. Go everywhere. Go to Barstool. Go to every place that'll have you. And she actually did an analysis that Fauci is the McLuhan-esque figure here, even more than Trump. She had this big article, big analysis about how Fauci's taken her strategy for Mayor Pete, and because he's on Barstool, here's the problem with Fauci. You have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. Now, don't get me wrong. If the facts change, I don't mind. But you have to. You're all over the map all the time, and you're now trying to rewrite the narrative. The New York Times piece. Let's cut to the chase of what the New York Times piece is about. The New York Times piece is to clean up Dr. Fauci, Azar, and Mick Mulvaney, right? That they're the guys that go to the president. Oh, and they talk the president into it on the 30th, right? They call the president. They track him down a plane. What was he in California? Is that when the triple? He was somewhere. He was flying back. They call him on the 30th. That's all a lie. They fought this thing. They fought this thing with Navarro. They adamantly did not. They took the World Health Organization's party line, which is don't stop any travel. You'll only upset the country. Then they'll start hiding numbers from you. It's also the globalists. It's Macron's. Don't ever close a border because borders don't mean anything. And if we got to close a border, we're actually saying borders are important, right? This whole story, Mika. You don't have to read it. We'll explain it to you. Joe, take your number 2 pencil out, Joe, and write this down for Mika. Okay? You don't have to read. You don't sit there on TV and read, and she's crying, she's sniveling, right? She's crying about the story. You don't have to read the story. Here's what the story is about. The story is to clear up Mulvaney, Azar, and particularly Dr. Fauci. Because Dr. Fauci is another, I think Vanity Fair has got him in there, and another lie. Where he says, I was the lead guy that adamantly said that he should do the China travel ban. That's a stone cold lie. I had to be so brutally frank. This doesn't mean has nothing to do with him working with Gates and the vaccines or Soros or Hillary Clinton. That's all irrelevant. And the more people bring it up, the more you hurt the case. The case is we want Dr. Fauci to succeed. We want Ambassador, Doctor, Colonel Birx to succeed. We want evidence-based. We want science-based. They're supposed to be there to frame this for the decision makers, for President Trump and Vice President Pence and others. That's their function. Here's the problem we got. We have a mainstream media that's too dumb and lazy and gutless, okay, to go back and see exactly what the evidence-based guys. We're going to get in this later. The University of Washington, thank God for the guys at the University of Washington, they're telling us tonight, you got to hook into their Twitter stream late at night. They still got one because we don't, right? They're telling us, hey, we're going to run perturbations. We're actually going to do some modeling on actions and let you guys see. Thank you, University of Washington. Since Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci aren't doing it, or if they're doing it, they're keeping it inside. That's what Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci are supposed to be doing. They're supposed to have their own model. And in their own model, they're supposed to put forward what these different actions are.
Well, it makes you wonder, what are these budgets that we give to the National Institute of Health and the CDC if the University of Washington is doing their basic work for them? I think as we come out the other side of this, we really have to start thinking about how we distribute the monies for this. I mean, maybe it's better to split it up between 20 universities.
Why are we spending so much time? And KDK, I think Katty K said it today. Why are we spending so much? She summarized it on her hit on MSNBC Morning Show today. Why are we spending all this time on back in January? Because you have to understand what happened there and who had what's advice to understand who's got street cred for the open. She said that's her quote. I agree with you. You're 100% correct. And the person with the least credibility is Yoda, is Dr. Fauci. I know we've got some other things, so we're going to bundle this up for the K-File. So K-File's got this, okay? And by the way, you don't even have to give us a shout out. You don't have to give us you don't have to link. You don't have to say anything good to us on Twitter since we're not there anymore, right? By the way, hashtag War Room Pandemic. Make sure you go there while you still can.
But I want to add something here, Steve, that I believe that it's very dangerous to start playing the revisionist history finger-pointing game at this stage. If we start getting this, instead of focusing on saving lives, whether it's an intentional CYA or it's a very Joe Biden-esque, forgetful, I don't really remember history so well, neither one is a good answer. But either way, these are both very dangerous roads to be going down right now when we're supposed to be talking about how we save lives and also how do we open back up.
But not refrigerators, yes, but we do have to know who brings it if we're making this decision. This decision is a massive decision.
Right, and there's actually a good quote from Dr. Fauci to the New York Times on March 8th where he said, obviously I spent yesterday afternoon going through. I just got frustrated and I was done with Easter.
The Easter Bunny did not come for you. The Easter Bunny did not. It was not a good day to use the up above the ground pool.
No, kids were outside on the trampoline, and so I was like, you know what? I'm going to start Googling Dr. Fauci and everything the guy said. Here's a quote he gave to the New York Times on March 8th. "It's so easy to play Monday morning quarterback. Every element of the federal government was working full speed to try to get this out and get things going."
Dr. Fauci, I don't know.
There really is a Dr. Fauci quote for everything.
I don't know, Dr. Fauci. I don't know. You ought to do some prep before you do these interviews. You got to be consistent. Go back and look at the other misstatements you made. Let's go back. I love Dr. Fauci. By the way, Dr. Fauci, Raheem Kassam and the team started making the intro music because I didn't like the first one. Started making it about the 20. When I got back from New York after we'd done the Lunar New Year with G News and Miles Guo, came back. You started working on it, and Fauci's. Fauci's was as prominent in quotes we were pulling at that time around the 23rd, right? So he was out there.
Yeah, and here's the other reason why this is so important is because this is who's handing information to President Trump to make these key decisions. President Trump has to know
evidence-based
that everything put in front of him is evidence-based, that it's tight, that it's concise, that it's data,
science.
That it's all very factual. He can't look. He's going to make public policy decisions based on the best information. Now, the good thing is he has a number of different information sources that are within this task force. But Dr. Fauci is viewed as like you said, the burning bush. He's viewed as an oracle.
Okay, something just came to me. Okay, the other day when we started Descent into Hell, the life of the Chinese people under the Chinese Communist Party, we started with a special announcement which we believe that all money should be stopped to the World Health Organization, and Dr. Ben Carson ought to immediately replace Dr. Tedros. Right, Dr. Tedros being a running dog for the Chinese Communist Party. And his track record, we'll go through that at a later time. But I actually think I got a recommendation. I think Sanjay Gupta, who I think does a better job. Dr. Gupta ought to replace Fauci, or at least go in as a deputy, right? I get more. He's got more light. It was Sanjay Gupta that finally nailed it. We come off the thing the other day where they're all flapping around. They get off the thing, and Aaron Burnett turns right to him and goes, what did they just say? He says, August 4th is the day we can basically, boom, he hit it right there. That's the kind of numbers that we need. That's the kind of, and you could tell in his mind he was processing this information the entire time. That's the type of frankness I would like to see on the podium from Yoda and Ambassador Dr. Colonel Birx.
You know, I was asked by a reporter this morning, do you think that Dr. Fauci should be replaced? I said, no. I want Dr. Fauci to be accurate and to be precise and to make sure that everything he's giving to President Trump in order to serve the American people is tight, factual, concise, and error-free. That's all I ask.
Okay, we're going to take another break. How do we get to all the sites, the ones we got left?
You can't anymore. That's it. www.warroom.org and pandemic.warroom.org. We also want you guys, we've got a story up there about our suspension. Share that on social media. Let as many people know as possible. Pandemic.warroom.org.
That was good. Can we try that again? The guys in Colorado, go ahead. We're ready for it.
Twitter seized our music, too.
Froze it up. We're going to return in a second. David Bahnsen will be here to talk about the markets. We'll get back to Dr. Fauci after that.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Episode 116 with almost 5.8 million downloads, one of the largest podcasts in the nation, and obviously the granddaddy of them all when it comes to pandemic. Remember, we do the pandemic, we do the economic crisis, we do the financial crisis, we do solvency, liquidity, all of it. You're here getting coached up every day. And remember, if you listen here, 2 weeks later, you'll see it in the mainstream media. So we'll give you a 2-week head start. You can press your friends, colleagues, everybody at work. I want to thank all of our distribution partners, particularly G News and GTV that does the Mandarin translation for us. We're getting such a huge Jack Dorsey. We're getting a huge following in China because people want to hear news there. They're tired of being slaves. They're tired of being oppressed. We're going to have Dave Bahnsen from the Bahnsen Group is going to join us hopefully momentarily, give us an update in the markets and the big deal with oil, which I still can't figure out because we're going to have tons of bankruptcies coming here. Let's go back to our favorite topic and hashtag war and pandemic. Just some. I understand many people are not comfortable with my association of Dr. Fauci with Yoda, right? The Yoda fans out there. I say that ironically. Let's go to what else we got on Dr. Fauci.
So with Dr. Fauci, we have a couple things I want to talk about.
Can we do this? Can we get the Vish? Can you call over to CNN today and get K-File's Social Security number? We're going to take him as a write-off this year, okay? Because we're going to bundle this up and send over, do all his work for him, okay?
So I want to play Dr. Fauci on February 29th. This is an important setup. February 29th, Saturday the 29th, he's on the Today Show with Peter Alexander and Kristen Welker. Here's Dr. Fauci.
It's Saturday morning in America. People are waking up right now with real concerns about this. They want to go to malls and movies, maybe the gym as well. Should we be changing our habits, and if so, how?
No, right now, at this moment, there is no need to change anything that you're doing on a day-by-day basis. Right now, the risk is still low, but this could change. I've said that many times.
So that's February 29th.
Hold on. This is when they'd already known. I think they came out the other day. We'll go back. We haven't done it yet, but we'll go back. They had already shifted internally because I think they've got the remember, I went crazy on it. They'd already shifted internally from the containment strategy to the mitigation strategy. They'd already internally said we can't contain it. Plus, Fauci and these guys completely blew it. It was not until March 11th that they told the president he should shut down Europe, which New York Times, we know that it went from China to Milan and then Europe right to JFK. That's why New York City, when you're in New York City, you have no paycheck, you're locked up in your home, you haven't gone to Easter services, your Passover was not what it was traditionally for 2,000 years, right? You're not able to do a Passover, you're not able to worship on Easter morning, 2,000 years. Plagues, floods, wars, depressions, 2,000 years we broke the tradition. What kind of people are we? Who are we? They're going to remember this 500 years from now. They're going to look back at us. What are they going to think of us? Only when we take down the CCP. And Jack Dorsey you're going to be one of the guys that's going to be you're playing for the other side. You and all of Twitter.
So February 29th, you have to assume that whatever Dr. Fauci is saying on Today's Show is the same thing he's saying to President Trump in private. So the advice that President Trump is getting is there's nothing to change.
Change.
There's nothing to change.
No mitigation strategy. Still, I guess we're still in containment.
So that's February 29th. His top medical advisor on this issue is telling him don't change anything. But here's what Dr. Fauci told Reverend Al Sharpton on MSNBC yesterday. First of all, if you thought that I was wasting my time by Googling Dr. Fauci on a Sunday afternoon on Easter, I mean, he's on with Al Sharpton. Here he is.
By the time we got that information and we started getting cases here, it's not efficiently spread from human to human. But as soon as it became clear that there was community spread, which means that it isn't just a travel-related case, that there are cases that are in the community under the radar screen, then it became clear that we were in real trouble.
When was that? When was that?
Well, that was probably towards the middle to end of January.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. He just outed himself. He stone cold lied to the American people on the Today Show. I was Kirsten Welker and those folks are upset. Stone cold lied to him on February 20th. A month later, you're all sitting there. Joe Scarborough, you're all grunting and groaning, and Mika's got the tears running down. She's sniveling and can't believe it. You know what happened? Your guy, Yoda, Dr. Fauci, stone cold liar. Knew back in January that was community. Remember, the two strategies here is containment versus mitigation. You do mitigation when you can't contain it anymore. Once you know you can't contain it, the whole month of February, right? The United States. This is Dr. Fauci is got to step up here, and it's not about him being part of the vaccine thing with Bill Gates or knowing Hillary Clinton or shaking Joe Biden's hand or looking at Jonathan Carl and winking at him. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with this.
It's about accuracy and being factual and giving President Trump the best information. If he knew back in late January about community spread, even a month later, he's still going on Today's Show saying that there's no risk. We don't have to change any of our behavior.
Go do everything you want. Go to the gym. Go to the theater. What did the guys say? Guys say go to the theater, go to nightclubs, go to this, do that, all that, right? It's unbelievable. This is so good. I just want to put a pin in for a second. We're going to bring David Bahnsen on so we can get updated on the financial situation. We're going to come back to. We're going to spend a lot of time on Dr. Fauci, and here's why it's important. Because this whole thing about reopening, he and Ambassador Colonel Dr. Birx are the lead sled dogs when it comes to analytics. Evidence-based, data-driven science. Let the scientists. What's the mantra in the mainstream media? Let the scientists. You got to listen to the scientists. We're listening to the scientists. This is what we're listening to. Are you guys listening to him? How does the New York Times have that story and doesn't have this up here? I think it's CNN goes up and blows up Navarro the other day and said, hey, Peter Navarro may have read a memo, but this is what, I think it was K-File, this is what he was saying to the public. Why don't you have the same thing for Dr. Fauci? Good enough for Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro writes the memo that may have saved the country, right? Just saying that all of these guys remember they didn't want to do anything until they saw that memo, right? And now they're lying to the New York Times to try to cover themselves because they realize it don't look so good. Okay, this whole thing on the 30th of January is totally made up, and the President of the United States outed him yesterday. He said, "Hey, that's a lie. Wasn't offered anything like that. These guys didn't come to me." He outed them. They're trying to clean it up because they know it doesn't look so good. We're going to go through the Fauci stuff ad nauseum. And you know why? Because we have one of the biggest decisions in American history coming up. And this is a close run thing, like the British say. We have very little margin for error here. So we have to get all the numbers. Now it's imperative, since Fauci and Birx have to come out with their model. They have to come out with their assumptions. They have to come out. They should be telling us what they saw for the first 15 days of slow the spread, what the metrics were. The question they asked the other day, Ambassador Dr. Colonel Birx spent 5 minutes on the podium. We do this for a living now. I couldn't understand what she said. I kind of got some of the buzzwords when the Reuters guy, Mason, asked the question about metrics. And then he had to ask the president again because the question wasn't. The president says, well, Dr. Birx will answer that. Well, Mason's not a dumb guy. He's sitting there. He's head of the White House Correspondents Association. He's the lead reporter. He and Holland are the two top guys for Reuters. He's sitting there. He was like glazed over. He had no earthly idea what she was doing because she was spinning. Okay? Keep the scarves. Dump the spin. You're supposed to be the evidence-based ambassador, doctor, colonel. Okay? U.S. Army career. Step up to the plate. When someone asks you a direct question, give them a direct answer. Don't spin.
Here's why she's even more important now, because President Trump values her judgment. He respects her. And it's also clear that Fauci has some serious credibility problems. So we need Dr. Birx to step up in a huge way right now.
Okay, let's go to we're going to come back to all this. Now you guys got me worked up. God, I knew this was going to happen.
It takes much, to be honest.
It doesn't take much.
One of our followers just sent us a tweet saying, hey, we have to start getting a Jack Dorsey CCP trending on the.
Oh yeah, Jack Dorsey running Jack Dorsey running dog. They banned us for one of two reasons. It was either Tedros is a running dog, right, which is a term of art in China, is a running dog, or it was the live organ harvesting later in the show from the Uyghurs. Falun Gong, I think, did the Falun Gong guy did the Dr. Lin. Did the live organ harvesting in detail. That might have gotten us.
Well, and if you missed it this weekend, it's still up on YouTube. You can watch both hours of the Descent to Hell special from this weekend there.
Life of the Chinese people. Remember, the Chinese people who are victims. Hey, we say it's all coming. There's going to be a Nuremberg-type trial in Wuhan in the future, okay? And it's the citizens of Wuhan, the victims in Wuhan, the family members that had to bang on the ambulances when they were riding away, the ones that opened up the ashes and saw a belt buckle where their grandmother was supposed to be, the ones that heard that they zipped up their body bags, as according to the Voice of Asia, and were burned alive. Okay, they're going to stand as the jury. Okay, they're going to represent the free people of the world, and they're going to stand in judgment of the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, we'll defer to their judgment. We'll let the people in Wuhan judge. Now I want to bring on David Bahnsen. David, sorry for holding you for so long, but can you give us an update? Where exactly do you think we stand on these capital markets today after this quote-unquote big oil deal, which I still don't totally understand, that happened between the Russians and the Saudis?
Yeah, I don't think that the biggest issues right now affecting capital markets at large are related to the oil deal. You see oil's kind of moved around in a pretty tight range. It was up a few percent, down a few percent. As we sit here now, it's up about 2.5%, 3%. The main thing, Steve, is going to push crude oil prices higher and help our shale producers in Texas, Oklahoma, Marcellus is going to be demand coming back. And demand will come back, but demand's not going to come back until the country is open for business. So in the meantime, they at least have stopped making the problem worse with these production cuts that I think overall look pretty solid. But, in terms of within capital markets, you had just a massive run-up last week, and so it's kind of hard this week to gauge if you just get a little light selling off and profit-taking, or if we're in kind of wait-and-see mode. The main thing is bond spreads. The Fed has taken over everything, and we have to sort of look to bond spreads this week to get an idea of how healthy financial markets are.
We got about a minute left. What about how important is for Fauci? We're beating over Fauci for this reopen. How important is the reopen and to do the reopen, at least start it in the short term, David? And how important are the scientists, Fauci and Dr. Birx, in that process?
Well, clearly, Fauci and Birx are very important to what the ultimate decision will make and the way that the public responds to the decision and to the way the media covers it all. But as far as just the fundamentals, there's nothing more important, I would argue, maybe in my lifetime, than getting this country reopened. And so the way in which it opens, how incremental it looks, how geographically incremental it goes, those things all matter. The devil will be in the details. But in every category you and I could go through, corporate profits, GDP, unemployment, wages, everything, it all starts with getting the country reopened for business.
David Bahnsen, thank you. David, can we get your Twitter handle, since you still have one, so people can get to you and get the information, maybe about the show?
Yes, for now and hopefully for a long time, my Twitter handle will be @David Bahnsen Bahnsen. But if I say something that gets me banned, I'll live with it as a badge of honor.
Oh, man, I love you, David. Okay, great analysis. Thank you very much for joining us.
Well, there you go. You can now follow War Room Pandemic at David Bahnsen.
Hashtag War Room Pandemic is the way you can give us observations. We're getting it real time. We're going to
tweet it as many times as possible. Let's see if we can get this trending this morning.
Yeah,
and hashtag Jack Dorsey CCP.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey CCP. Okay, we're going to return with the entire War Room posse in just a second.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War Room Pandemic on a rainy and dismal, as Easter was yesterday. It was kind of dismal. The weather here was very dismal, and it should have been. We had an Easter Sunday for the first time in 2,000 years. Right, did not celebrate Easter Sunday as a group. People should understand that is a massive. This is what the Chinese Communist Party did. This is what they did. Remember, I think we'll have time tomorrow. I don't know if we have time today, but it's just like Pearl Harbor, in that they knew about this community spread, a human transmission. When they came here to sign the document, it's just like the Japanese were negotiating a truce. Basically, we were going to back off the oil situation in 1941. They had a delegation here, and they were supposed to go to Secretary of State Cordell Hall, the official notice that we're pulling out of the negotiations, but because of the translation machine, it took too long. And so Pearl Harbor got hit at 8 o'clock in the morning, Hawaii time, Honolulu time, and the guys didn't show up for another 45 minutes or an hour. They walked in, and Cordell Hall said, "This is the worst thing that's ever happened in between two nations as diplomats. You guys are stone cold liars. You knew you had a sneak attack coming, and you trying to bait us on in this thing, and you showed up, and they had nothing to say." That's why it wasn't just the sneak attack. It was how we were lulled into negotiating. Why Franklin Delano Roosevelt called it a day that will live in infamy. It was the combination of the attack and the way that we were lulled to sleep. What happened on January 13th, 14th, and 15th of 2019? Were they not here to get a deal because the swine flu had killed all their pigs and they needed a big trade deal with the United States of America? They needed to buy those hogs. They needed to buy all the stuff from the agriculture, which now is we put so many trillions of dollars in, it's kind of overcome by events. Did they ever say a word? Did they ever bring up to anybody they had human-to-human transmission? It was only when they were on the planes back that President Xi started to take the dramatic action before Lunar New Year, right? Lunar New Year. He stopped. Remember, the biggest migration in human history happens every year. 500 million Chinese go from the industrial cities that they've built, right, like the Wuhans or the Shanghais, Beijings, these monster mega cities, back to the hinterland, back to see mom and dad. It's a one-child policy, so it's very important. You get the grandparents there. It's very traditional. It's all about the family. And this Lunar New Year is that holiday. It takes it's a week or 10 days. Always the nation basically shuts down. So the next day, we're getting ready to broadcast in New York, and guess what they're doing? They're shutting down the Forbidden City. They're shutting down Disneyland Shanghai. They're shutting down the Great Wall. They're shutting down people not supposed to get on trains. You know why? They knew they had human-to-human transmission. And a couple days later, they shut down Hubei province, the size of France, and they quarantined a city that's 40% bigger than New York City. These are not decisions that just happen overnight. They knew about this when they were here. And they didn't tell anybody. That whole room of people, they're shaking hands and rubbing up against people. They knew about it then. And what we're going to find out when all the information comes out, they knew about it in November of 2019, and maybe even beforehand.
And don't forget, they put in the force majeure clause right at that same time, too.
Oops. As they're negotiating the deal, not just the force majeure clause comes in, but another clause, if anything, they got that language, if anything happens, right? It's like, how did that get into a deal? I've seen force majeure clauses, and I've seen clauses if something happens, you specifically lay it out, or I think they say the phrasing is, this is paragraph 7.6. I think it's B, 7.6B. Which is the details of the force majeure clause. This is in the trade deal that we signed. They slip in a thing that says, or for any other reason. We'll get the language specifically. It's so broad as to be shocking, right? So it's absolutely stunning that this happens.
And it's not just the U.S. If you're part of the international business community, and you were in Davos, you should be pissed off as well. So keep in mind, Davos ran January 22nd through the 24th. When did they actually start shutting down Hubei province? Well, at 2 a.m. on January 23rd, they started letting people know about this, and then really it was on the 24th is when it was the front page Financial Times story. So it was really on the 23rd when they're already halfway through this. So they're there. The Chinese delegation is there in Davos, meetings all day on the 22nd, 23rd. Maybe some of the leaders, maybe some of the business people may have heard something about it, but they were already well deep into this Davos conference before they even started shutting down Hubei. They clearly held it off until they were able to have these meetings.
You can pick one or the other. Either now, I think they sent a 35 or 50 person here to sign the document. Right now, we know why. One of the reasons nobody could figure out why they thought President Xi might actually come over at some point in time in December. Remember, there was even some talk of Xi coming over. We know why they wasn't even on his calendar. He had a pandemic on his hands. Yeah, he thought that might be a bad deal to be out of the country by then because it might be exploding. He might have to shut down a province the size of France, right? Macron's whole deal. He might have to shut that down, which is only the second most important nation in Europe and back of Germany. He might have to shut that down and have everybody shelter in place. He might have to lock that down hard.
And he might have to hang around because there are other people gunning for his job. He doesn't want to be in
bad time to be
Switzerland.
Or bad time to be Switzerland. Bad time to be in the United States. Bad time may have to be asking for exile, right? No, bad time. Oh, and that's okay. So you had 50 here on January 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th when they signed, right? Nothing happened until Li He. Li He's not a Grundun. He's one of the top guys. He's the lead negotiator, right? Top guy to negotiate. But Li He's he and Wan Qishan are like the two real deputies of Xi. Okay, Li He. Did Li He tell anybody? Did Li He have a pull aside and said, hey, I think we got a problem? In fact, when we get on the plane, they're going to actually be shutting down the Forbidden City. That this Disneyland thing you got in Shanghai, that may have to be shut down. That we're the 500 million people that go every year and have gone every year for 4,000 years. 4,000 years. Our Easter, 2,000 years, they broke it. They're 4,000 years. They always go home. It's an absolute tradition of the Chinese people for New Year. You end the year and start the new year with your family. That they broke that. Pretty big. You think they knew that? Did that just you think they made that decision on the 15th? I don't think so. I think they might have known that they were going to make that decision.
And also remember, the World Health Organization gave them global public cover on the 14th by publishing their findings that there was no human transmission.
Well, they tweeted on the 14th. I think they put an announcement actually on the 12th. I want to go check. They put an announcement on the 12th and then tweeted it so the world, make sure the world knew it on the 14th. It said, after consultation with the Minister of Health of the People's Republic of China and the CDC and all that, they have told us there is no human to human transmission. And 48 hours later, they shut down the Forbidden City. They start shutting everything. That is a stone cold lie. Tedros, you are a running dog of the Chinese Communist Party. The blood is on your hands, sir. And this is why Dr. Ben Carson should take that job before he get another penny of American money. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We're going to return with Dr. Bradley Thayer and more Dr. Fauci when we return to War Room Pandemic.